Ladies and gentlemen, your sweet Zionist Prince Tall, the traveling clad, back here for another video from Israel. Today we're looking at a little clip from Mr. President Donald Trump.
Under Biden, we have not one but two immigration disasters. We have one on the border, and we have one in the Biden State Department, which is admitting colossal amounts of jihadists into our communities and campuses and our refugee programs. That's why you see all of these big demonstrations in New York, in Chicago. Nobody can believe what's taking place. They're letting them in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We cannot allow that to happen, and we don't want to be like Europe with jihads on every corner. That's what happens. I mean, we're going to be like Europe. You take a look at London, you take a look at Paris, you take a look at what's going on over there. We want to be the United States of America, and we want to make our country great again. Right now, we don't have a great country. We have a laughingstock. As president, I will end once and for all the mass importation of anti-Semitism into the United States. And just as I did before, we will keep radical Islamic terrorists the hell out of our country. We're going to keep them out of our country.
I think if you, and this is not to call out any of you guys who might be watching from Dearborn, Michigan, but Dearborn, Michigan, during the last year and a half has been a prime example of what has happened with Islamic immigration, radical Islamic immigration into America. And I consider radical Islamic immigration not somebody who's committing a terrorist attack. I'm considering somebody who's driving around in a car propagating flags of Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas. Houthis from Yemen, the terrorist group from Yemen, who, by the way, their slogan is death to America, death to Israel, victory to Islam. Curse on the Jews. That's their flag slogan for the Houthis. And that's been in America on the streets of Dearborn, Michigan multiple times in the last year and a half. I think Trump understands this can't keep going on. We can't have this trend going on.
We're keeping them out. We were keeping them out. You remember the travel ban? On day one, I will restore our travel ban. We had a travel ban because we didn't want people coming into our country who really love the idea of blowing our country up. Let's blow up our streets and our shopping centers and our people. So I instituted what we call the Trump travel ban, and it was an amazing success. It was suspended immediately upon his coming into the country. And I never talked about this for 4 years. I never mentioned it. We didn't have one incident in 4 years because we kept bad people the hell out of our country. We kept them out. We didn't have not one instance. I didn't want to say it during the 4 years because I didn't want to walk out of the speech and have something happen, right? I'll also be implementing strong ideological screenings for all immigrants coming in. If you hate America, if you want to abolish Israel, if you sympathize with jihadists, then we don't want you in our country, and you're not going to be getting into our country. I will cancel the student visas of Hamas and sympathizers on college campuses. The college campuses are being taken over. And all of the resident aliens who joined in the pro-jihadist protest this month, nobody's ever seen anything like it. Come 2025, we will find you and we will deport you.
Nice.
We will deport you.
Nice. And Trump, by the way, has really done this since he got into the presidency. I think this speech was filmed a little while ago, but he has actually put out a mandate to start hunting down Hamas and Hezbollah supporters on college campuses in the U.S., especially foreign students, and deport them from the country, as it should be.
It's caused by some very bad troublemakers, those events that you've been watching. In the past 3 weeks, crooked Joe Biden has turned a blind eye to the greatest outbreak of anti-Semitism in American history. You have the greatest. I call up friends of mine who happen to be Jewish. I say, are you watching what's going on? And they're actually frightened. These are some pretty strong people. They're tough people. They're frightened. Their kids are afraid to go to school. And they never had that before. But in our colleges, media, and even government, nobody's ever seen anything like Rashida Tlaib and Ilan Omar, who openly campaign against Israel. Nobody's ever seen this before. When asked recently about rising anti-Semitic hate, Joe Biden's own press secretary had nothing to say about the rabid mobs in the street, and they're shouting, "Kill the Jews, kill the Jews," and she had nothing to say. In fact, she stuck up for the other side. She started talking about the other side. You
That's
also.
crazy.
Nobody could believe it. Then
That's
she came
crazy.
back later. She said, "Oh, I misunderstood the question." As president, I will absolutely protect our Jewish citizens from these maniacs, lunatics, radical left thugs. Threats or crimes of violence against Jews will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Right now, they go after Republicans, including me. They go after lots of people. They go after Catholics. I don't know what it is with the Catholics, but they're really after the Catholics, and they're after people wanting to make their school district better. This is a strange thing that's happening in our country. While in office, I took the strongest action of any president in history to combat the vile scourge of anti-Semitism. You know that. I signed a landmark executive order fighting anti-Semitic hate on college campuses and affirming that discrimination against Jewish students will be aggressively punished as a violation of civil rights. And that we didn't have that, if you can believe it. When I get back into office, I will put every single university and college president on notice. The American taxpayer will not subsidize the creation of terrorist sympathizers on American soil.
I hope he sees that through.
Colleges and universities will purge the anti-Semitism and pro-terrorism. What you're doing, the terrorism, this pro-terrorism is so out of control. Nobody's ever seen, or they will lose their accreditation and every last penny of federal student loans. It will not be paid to them, probably shouldn't be paid to them anyway. Never forget, the same radicals tearing down posters of Israeli hostages, can you imagine, at our university, ripping them right off the wall, I couldn't believe it, are the ones tearing down statues of our American heroes, defunding our police, destroying our justice system, and demolishing our borders. These are the same people that you have, same people, not good people for us. The United States and Israel represent the pinnacle of Western civilization, which is exactly what these people want to destroy. They want to destroy it. This is why those who chant death to Israel also chant always death to America. Do you ever notice? They always put it together, and that's why American patriots and supporters of Israel, and you have tremendous support in this country, I can tell you that, must stick together come hell or high water. You have to stick together. We must have strong borders, strong military, strong families, strong cultures, and above all, we must have a strong American president. That's where it starts. You don't have a strong president, the rest is just words. It's only words. It's only words. You never had any of these problems. For 4 years, you didn't have any of these problems. Think of it. You wouldn't have Ukraine. You wouldn't have Israel being attacked. You wouldn't have inflation. You wouldn't have anything. You'd have gasoline selling at $1.87. With your vote, I will defeat the jihadists, the terrorists, the communists, the Marxists, the fascists, and the anti-Semitic radical left lunatics, and we have plenty of them. We have a lot more. They're just pouring into our country. You know, the same people that attacked Israel are coming into our country, and there are a lot of them that are young, strong men, and they're coming in. They're 21 and 22 and 23 and 24 years old, and they're strong. And I watch some of the fake news media saying, oh, so many strong men. Oh, that's wonderful. There's a reason. And you know where they're coming in from also? Slightly different, all over the Middle East, but where they're coming in from? A lot coming in from China. What's that all about? We have a lot of young, strong men coming in from China. I wonder what that's all about. I will defend our friend and ally, the state of Israel, like nobody has ever defended it before. I will rescue the American economy. I will restore America's borders, which are a disaster. I will stand up for American sovereignty, and I will save American freedom starting on November 5th, 2024. Get out and vote. And I just want to say, and I say it so strongly, this is the most important election in the history of our country. I used to say that on 2016. This is the most important election, and I meant it fully. But now I can tell you, you know, we made the border so strong I couldn't even talk about it in 2020. Sir, don't talk about the borders. In 2016, it was all about the borders, and we did an unbelievable job. So when we came back to 2020, I couldn't even talk about them. People would say, sir, nobody cares about the borders. You know why? Because we had strong borders. Now we have the weakest borders we've ever had. I'll do it again, and we'll do it fast, and we're going to make it strong. But what we have to do is we have to get out and vote. This is the most important election in the history of our country, because if we don't win this election...
And it was a pretty impressive election. That it was. The way that Donald Trump sort of swept the floor with Kamala Harris and Biden, especially with the shit show that was the 2024 election, I am ridiculously excited to see how he changes America moving forward. I'm optimistic as hell. And like I've mentioned on this channel before, I've never been a Trump guy, never voted for him. I didn't even vote for him in this election. I have become extremely supportive of his sentiment on Israel. And I'm hoping that Trump helps us usher in a new age of peace in the Middle East and a new age of flourishing in America. I'm really excited for it. Thank you guys for supporting my work and my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you long time. Goodbye, Clats. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.